Hey guys, it has been a hot minute since I've done a video. But I've been very busy being depressed. Wish I was joking. But the experimental, it's April Fool's Day today, and the experimental card came out, and they gave Xena Levitate. And so this was my first game. I just played this like 15 minutes ago, and this would be an insane buff if this goes through, and I really hope it does. Like, not only just for like the movement ability of like being able to reposition like onto high ground a lot easier, but it is insane. I this experimental card has been probably I've never enjoyed playing Overwatch so much, because there's so many like new things to try out, and I guess maybe there's part of that is like the excitement of it being almost like a totally different game because every hero is different. But there are so many of these changes that I would love to see go through. All of BAP's changes, for instance. I played BAP earlier, and I've had the time of my life playing BAP. Like, not having to, like, not having the pressure of being like, I have to have the perfect immortality field, is gone, totally. And you can use it a little bit more on cooldown, just like reduce the damage. Arista's so much fun because of her, like, her forward moving ability. Some of the supports still feel a little underwhelming. I don't play Lucio, so I can't really comment on his change. Moira's feels okay. She feels like she's in a better spot. I don't mind it. She doesn't place drastically different, but the damage increase on her right click is pretty noticeable. Anna's a lot of fun. I don't know if that would... I actually wouldn't mind the nano change where she gets nanoed and the target gets nanoed, because playing Anna... There is a lot of struggle often where it's like, oh, you're just like a nanobot, right, for like your teammates, and you never really feel like you have any control over having an impact, right? You don't feel like you have any sort of leverage with the game. And so I wouldn't actually mind that change going through. I feel like supports have always, other than Brig, felt a little underwhelming to play in the past year, just because power creep and damage and tanks just kind of being the like main driving force behind the game. Mercy's change is actually really interesting. I think people that are really, really good with her pistol, like, again, it's a change that I don't think breaks the game, but definitely also allows her to, like, escape situations she normally wouldn't be able to, because she's pretty reliant on her teammates for positioning with her movement, and it's just like a quality of life change. All of the changes across the board just make the characters feel so much more fun to play. So enough of me rambling, but we're just gonna like take a look at this game so you can see like how I was having like the time of my life here on Zen. There are a few times where I don't know how to get rid of this bottom section. This Corb just like almost hammered me to death. But like, just like stuff just like plays like that where I can just like move around is just so good. Like, Zen suddenly feels so much more lethal because he can like peek corners that you normally wouldn't be able to, and just like I can reposition there without having to worry about like having to go all the way around, because Zen feels like a slow character even though we know he's not. Like, everyone's speed is the same other than, like, Genji. I know we're just, like, watching this together, but... Doom is one of those characters in this patch where he could either be super broken if his goes through, or he would just be meta. You know, there's, like, two... There's a differentiator there, right? Like, just because a hero's meta doesn't mean they're broken, but usually broken heroes are meta, right? Like, that's the differentiator. So his change, and Sigma's interesting. I actually like floaty Sigma without a shield. I do worry about him just being the next Pharah pocket, and just like teams running like Pharah Sig and having like sky dominance with Echo, right? Can you imagine that? Like, having to deal with 3 characters, in which case I don't mind the Widow buffs as much, but I still think Widow is pretty overwhelming sometimes. Like, being able to chase this Doom down is so satisfying. So satisfying. Sorry, I didn't hear that Hanzo fast enough. I was like so excited with the potential of Zen being so much better. I think Mei being a tank is totally fine. I don't mind her being a tank. I just worry about the game going too close to like quad DPS, like way back in the day, like goats they are, right? People would just not run any tanks ever. So this could be frustrating in the sense that we could see people playing like Ball Mei, and then our backline gets destroyed by, you know, like hit scan and snipers. There's definitely a learning curve with Zen's like levitate, but like here, this allows me to like follow up on the Orisa. Like, it's so good. Like I can follow up on targets that I normally wouldn't be able to.
Enemy turret down.
Also, hope everyone is like doing okay, like with the pandemic and everything. Like, I know the US, we're about to see like another big wave in a lot of places. Our team's just kind of getting decimated because I'm ignoring healing any of them. It's experimental card, I don't need to, I'm playing very selfishly. There are a few times where I'm noticing where it feels a little buggy or glitchy when I try and do like the levitate back to back. And it feels like a tad too slow for me. I wish it was like a tad faster. Like I don't want it to be a dodge ability. I think it's strongest as like a repositioning and like follow-up ability. Because I like this a lot more than Bap's like jump. Because Bap's jump is very vertical. There's not a lot of horizontal control.
No one can hide from my sight.
Let the dragon consume you!
I think Diva's change should go through just because it eliminates like the camping like baby Diva thing, like preventing her from like moving or going anywhere without there being any risk for your team. And I think this introduces the idea is like, oh, you can camp baby Diva, but there's a possibility like she might kill one of your teammates and then their team, like you're still gonna feed ult charge, but you have the potential to like win an ult fight now, right? Oh, that was so satisfying, that right click. Oh, I can press N to hide it. I'm such an idiot. I'm so sorry. I would be fine with the Genji changes going through if they nerf Blade even more. Like if they make the ult cool, like the ult cost even more, or make the damage on the Blade less. Cause I think the game is in its best place when game-breaking ults take a long time to get, or things like I just like want to prevent like nano blade botting, right? Like the fact that if I play Ana and we have a Genji on our team, I'm probably gonna have to give them nano every single blade, and that's like not fun. So making characters stronger in like the early and mid fights, and not put so much, like Zen is one of those characters, right, where you have a lot of potential impact for DPS, but you're kind of a sitting duck, and your ult can like change a team fight, right, if you get grabbed and use it. So
60 seconds.
the repositioning component here is just so good. Like it's just like such a nice quality of life thing, because I feel like all of the supports have movement other than Ana, and Ana, I don't think needs movement because her utility is so strong, right? Like between sleep and nano and also potential like nanoing yourself and a teammate. Like I think at that point she'd be one of the few characters that wouldn't need a movement ability. Also, I hope they change it so that your team is blue in the replay viewer, but I know people have complained about it.
Nanoboost administered.
Force the trend.
I've got you in my...
Are there any changes that I hope don't go through? Roadhog's hook thing feels a little weird. Like, hook is already so strong in like a solo queue ranked environment, right? Like quick play, because I think if the hook thing goes through, I think they have to cut his ability to move while he's taking breather, right? And that's like a hard, like some people like having the moving while you take a breather, but like you can't punish Hog, right? Like there's no way to punish him unless you like get an anti on him, and even then he can still move. So I think personally, like I think they should get rid of his moving while he's taking a breather, if they're gonna implement something like this. But even then, like a 4-second hook is so oppressive in the right hands, like in most hands. I would also say like soldier, like the soldier changes. No, absolutely not. I think, I think the sprinting, getting ammo is like a cool concept, but then like players will just sprint instead of reloading, right? Because it's so high. It's like 6 per second, right? So I don't know, like it's not a game. I think the ult side of things where he can like headshot while he's ulting, absolutely not. Don't put that in the game. He just melts everyone, especially when you nano him, everyone's dead. I don't know if there are any other heroes. I don't think the rest of this game isn't super interesting. So let's take a look. The Bastion changes are cool. I think making Bastion usable outside of his turret is okay. Oh, we can just go and check the experimental notes, can't we? There we go, patch notes. I think Anna's fine. The Ashe change I'm totally down with. I hope the BAP thing goes through. I'm fine with the Bastion. A lot of people don't like Brig. I don't mind this change because it's not like you can double stun if you know, like if you stun and then whip shot, your target isn't close enough to you to stun. So this would be really strong in a scenario where like you're surrounded by people, so you can whip shot somebody out of the, like not necessarily close to you and then stun the target you're in front of. I think that would add another element to Brig's kit. I was having a lot of fun playing her in the experimental, especially because everyone was playing ball. Love the diva change. Doomfist I'm hesitant about just because he can just move anywhere, and it could be really oppressive, because Doomfist is already really annoying to deal with as a support, because if people don't peel on your team, you just die every time, right? Unless you land like a really lucky sleep. The echo change, I don't think the duration needs to be 30 seconds. I think 15 is pretty healthy. Because you usually get knocked out of it anyway, right? Like unless you're playing super safe. Yeah, the Genji changes I'm neutral on. I think if this goes through, they have to nerf his ult again. Storm arrows, I don't think it's needed, but I don't think it's gonna be game breaking as much as like the original Ricochet arrows were. Junkrat, I'm totally fine with him having steel traps because he's still pretty weak against threats that are like above him. You know, like if this sig change goes through, I think Junk is gonna struggle more. Fine with the Lucio change. McCree's okay. I think McCree's already really strong right now. I don't think he needs this. I don't know what this is, like the tumbleweed thing. I think it's just a meme, right? Fine with the May change, honestly. Fine with the Mercy change. I actually hope this goes through. Really hope this goes through for Moira. I think she needs something right now. The Mercy change, it would be really fun, I think, because my favorite part of Mercy's kit is her movement. Definitely hope the Orisa change goes through. Totally fine with the Sphera change going through, although I probably wouldn't change Concussive Blast. I think it can, on like Lijiang Tower, it can be really oppressive because it can take like 6 seconds to get across the bridge, right? So I think 9 is fine still, but I'm totally fine with it moving while she's casting it. Totally fine with the Reaper changes. I think he moves vertically in the cinematic, so I think it makes sense for him to move with it, and it would also allow him to like take high ground or move away from fights a little easier, because Reaper's kind of in a weird spot, especially against hit scan heroes that can just dink him down. I don't think Ryan needs this, honestly. Like 200% more, I would be fine with like them just doubling it, but 200 is a bit much. I'm not a fan of the Roadhog adjustment. I'm okay with the Sigma change. My thing is that Blizzard is getting into territory of like almost like Paladin territory, which I think they should go in to embrace like the Overwatch 2 kind of like skill tree thing. I think people should be able to play the heroes the way they want. So if people want to play floaty Sigma with no barrier, let them. But if players want to play with a barrier and no like floating around, let them. Like let people build out different skill trees for PvP that are balanced, so they can play the way they want. Because I would love to play like a super like a hyper healing Zen build, right? Like something where it's like, oh, Discord doesn't amplify, like be like, oh, Zen doesn't have a Discord anymore, right? Like he has 2 Harmony Orbs. Like let me have that build, or the opposite, 2 Discords, no healing. I don't know what the Sombra change is. I think it's just she's invis all the time, maybe, I don't know. Sombra changes, or Symmetra change is fine. Torb change is I don't like 200% on the hammer. I think it's a bit of a meme. I think they should increase it while he's in that state. I don't think 200% because he can just like 2-tap everyone from close range. And his gun struggles to do that by itself, and you have to aim with that. Don't like this on Tracer. Don't think she needs it. Widow, I'm hit or miss. I don't think she needs buffs because Widow's always going to be strong. I think this is fine, like her primary fire. I don't think she needs piercing shots because she's already kind of oppressive. Winston changes. I'm mixed. As a Zen player, I hate these, but as like a playing any other character, like this makes Winston incredibly strong. Like playing against him in experimental, like we were getting thrashed by this. So I think these changes are fine. It's just the numbers I think need to be adjusted a little bit. I don't think the knockback needs to be significantly increased, and I don't think the damage needs to be like more than doubled. You know, I think moving melee damage up to like 60 would be a fair compromise if they're gonna keep something like the enemy damage now grants Winston ultimate charge. The Wrecking Ball change is a meme. The Zarya change is amazing. I think they should implement this, and obviously Zen's Levitate is awesome. I want to know what changes you guys want to see implemented from this experimental card. Are there any that you definitely want to see through? Do you think all of these? I don't think all of these should go through personally. What are the ones that you do want to go through, and what ones do you definitely not want to go through? Like some of these might be a little game breaking and too strong. So I want to hear your thoughts on that. But when I am feeling more motivated, you will see more of me in the future, guys. Until then, take care.